As the Myanmar junta concludes the first of its planned three-phase general election, international media, academics, and Myanmar's independent media have raised questions about its legitimacy. These news footage speak for themselves. Turnout is low compared to the last election in 2020. Security on election days is a concern.
The people are afraid. Those Myanmar people who live in the areas under the military control, they are afraid of what will happen to them if they don't go and vote. But then those who are living in the liberated area, in the revolution control area, they don't have to worry about voting at all because the military cannot come and set up the poll station. But people are very worried about their safety, whether they are in the cities living under the military control area or they are living in the revolutionary areas because the Myanmar military has been bombing the civilians like almost every day for the last 4 years.
According to the BBC investigation in 2024, the Myanmar military currently controls only about 21% of the country. 42% of the territory is under the control of various resistance groups, while a further 29% remains contested. Nevertheless, Somintun, a junta spokesperson, told state media that more than 6 million people, or 52.13% of enrolled voters, had voted on Sunday across 102 townships. According to him, it was a source of pride, as even in developed democratic nations, there are situations where voter turnout does not exceed 50%. While some argue that holding an election, however, flawed is better than none, veteran Burmese activist Kin Omar disagrees.
Having this election, you know what will happen is after this sham election, this Myanmar military will have a chance to claim to the world that they have held the election, even though the election is not a real, free or fair or credible election. And then they will claim legitimacy from the world. And then what they want is they want the world to recognize them as the official government of the Myanmar country. And then they will try to actually get rid of the sanctions from the world, and they want to bring their international businesses back into the country. But when they do something like that, what is happening to the Myanmar people? For the Myanmar people under this military, their life is getting far worse and worse, no matter they are living in the cities or they live in the urban or rural areas. So that's the very reason that Myanmar people will not give up. They don't need another election because they already voted for the government that they wanted in 2020 election.
Under the new election rules, more than 40 popular political parties, including the National League for Democracy and the Shan Nationalities League for Democracy, have been disbanded. Observers say that this further demonstrates that the election will not reflect the will of the people. So how do we get out of this deadlock?
We need inclusive dialogue. Is this a real solution? I know it's ideal, but we need to think new way for this country. It requires dialogue to include all stakeholders. So when we mean all stakeholder is not only about between the military regime and NUG, right? It's more than that. Like there's so many resistance groups, there are many ethnic groups, ethnic resistance organizations, many Burma resistance groups as well, and also civil society. So when the time passes, there will be more and more actors coming up. So we need to start right now about to have inclusive dialogue. And as long as the political dialogue not really be inclusive, of course, it cannot tackle the root cause of the problem.
But that peace process will require much more from the Myanmar junta. At the Collaborative Media Monitoring Program, held jointly by Thai PBS and over 20 organizations, including Myanmar and international media, discussions include the role of international actors.
We're living in reality, we're living in a world that is more polarizing and more protectionist than ever before that we're seeing, right? Countries are pursuing their own self-interested goals more aggressively than ever as well. And so what it means for Myanmar, I think, is that some external actors, right, are so preoccupied with their own issues and other issues surrounding them as well, right? So they fail to articulate a clear stance on Myanmar elections. That being said, some governments have already, outright denounced the elections, but that's pretty much it. But ASEAN's remaining silent is probably what the junta needs. This is probably all it needs, right? They don't want an outright legitimizing from ASEAN. They don't care, right? Honestly, I don't think they care that much about ASEAN as long as China continue to support its legitimacy after the election. But ASEAN actually should care, because if ASEAN chooses to remain silent right now, it will face great difficulty not to invite back the junta's political representations after the election.
The state-run Global New Light of Myanmar reported that the first two phases of voting in Myanmar on December 28th and on January 11th will cover 202 out of a total of 330 townships. The third phase will be held on January 25th in 63 townships.